Seon stood at the microphone. 200 reporters, cameras everywhere. Lee Tae-kyun, the man who killed her family, smiled in the back. He thought he'd won. My parents died on Flight 801, she began. For 3 years, I've had proof that this man falsified safety reports. Tae-kyun's smile vanished, but exposing him destroys my husband's company. My daughter loses her only chance at survival. She held up the evidence. We're releasing everything anyway. Police blocked the doors. Tae-kyun tried to run. You're not running anymore, Seon said. She just sacrificed everything. You're probably wondering how a homeless woman ended up destroying a billionaire CEO while married to him. Well, it all started 6 months earlier, with the most shocking proposal Seoul had ever seen. Before we dive into this beautiful story, don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, like, and share this video. Help us reach 1,000 subscribers. Thank you, and God bless you for your support. I pray that joy, peace, and unexpected blessings find their way to you this week. Amen. The black Mercedes screeched to a stop outside the small neighborhood mart in Gangnam. Baek Do-jin stepped out, his tailored suit drawing every eye on the crowded sidewalk. He walked with purpose toward a woman sitting on cardboard near the entrance. Moon Se-yeon looked up from the newspaper she was reading. Her clothes were worn, but her posture was dignified. Intelligent eyes assessed him immediately. The crowd started pulling out phones. Do-jin stopped directly in front of her. Without hesitation, he dropped to one knee. "Marry me," he said. "Today." The sidewalk went silent. 20 phones were already recording. Se-yeon stared at him, her expression unreadable. She folded her newspaper slowly. "I don't even know you," she said. "You will say yes first." Se-yeon stood, forcing him to look up at her. She stepped closer, studying his face. "You're Baek Do-jin," she said calmly, founder of Nexarin Tech. Net worth estimated at 800 billion won. Featured in Forbes Asia last month. Do-jin's confident expression cracked slightly. He hadn't expected this. "I'm not stupid," Se-yeon continued. "So tell me what you really want." The crowd was silent, waiting. Do-jin opened his mouth, then closed it. For the first time, he looked uncertain. Se-yeon smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Come back tomorrow," she said. "Same time, with a ring. And this time, tell me the real reason you're doing this." She walked away, leaving him kneeling on the pavement. The crowd erupted in whispers. Cameras kept filming. Do-jin stood slowly, his jaw tight. He watched her disappear around the corner. His assistant rushed over. "Sir, should we—" "Find out everything about her," Do-jin said quietly. Everything. 24 hours earlier, Do-jin had been sitting in a hospital room. His 7-year-old daughter, Yi-sol, lay in the bed, an oxygen tube beneath her nose. Her head was wrapped in a soft cap, covering where chemotherapy had stolen her hair. The doctor closed the file. 6 months, maybe less. Do-jin's hands gripped the armrests of his chair. "There's an experimental treatment in Switzerland," the doctor continued. "It's her only chance. But the program requires—" "Money isn't the issue," Do-jin interrupted. "It's not about money. The program requires a stable family unit. 2-parent household. Their research shows better recovery rates with complete family support." Do-jin's voice was hollow. "Her mother left us." "I know. I'm sorry. But without meeting their criteria, Yi-sol can't qualify." Do-jin looked at his daughter. Yi-sol was sleeping, her small chest rising and falling slowly. "How long do I have?" he asked. "To find someone and establish the family unit? The application deadline is in 2 weeks. 2 weeks to save his daughter's life." Back in his office, Do-jin's assistant had placed a folder on his desk. "Potential candidates," the assistant said carefully. "Women who might agree to a marriage arrangement." Do-jin opened it. There were 5 names, 5 photographs. The last one caught his attention. Moon Se-yeon, former data engineer. Highly educated, currently homeless after losing everything 3 years ago. "Why is she on this list?" Do-jin asked. "She's known in the Gangnam area. Educated, dignified, intelligent. People respect her despite her situation. If you're going to do this publicly, she's the one who won't make you look predatory." Do-jin studied her photo. There was something in her eyes, pain, but also strength. "Find her," he said. That same evening, Seon sat in a 24-hour cafe, the kind that lets homeless people stay if they buy one coffee. Her laptop was hidden in her backpack, charged using the cafe's outlet. She opened it carefully, angling the screen away from other patrons. The encrypted folder contained 3 years of research. Lee Tae-kyun, corporate executive, now CEO of Daehan Aviation Systems. The man who had buried the evidence that killed her family. Flight 801, 284 people dead. Her parents and younger brother among them. The investigation had shown pilot error. Case closed. But Seon had been a data engineer specializing in aviation safety. She knew what system failure looked like. She'd found the real maintenance logs, the ignored warnings, the falsified reports, all signed by Lee Tae-kyun. When she'd tried to expose it, she'd lost everything. Her job, her reputation, her home. Tae-kyun's company had labeled her mentally unstable, obsessed, dangerous. No one would hire her. No one would listen. For 3 years, she'd lived on the streets, tracking him, waiting for the right moment. Then she'd learned something interesting. Tae-kyun's company was negotiating a major partnership with Nexarin Tech, with Baek Do-jin. Seon had studied Do-jin carefully. Self-made billionaire, respected, ethical reputation. If she could get close to him, access Nexarin's systems, she could find the partnership contracts, the financial connections. Proof that would finally expose Tae-kyun. But how could a homeless woman get access to a tech billionaire? She'd been planning for months. Then today, he'd appeared out of nowhere and proposed to her. Seon closed her laptop, her mind racing. This was impossible, too convenient. What did he want? Why her specifically? But it didn't matter. He'd given her exactly what she needed, a way inside. She would use him, get her evidence, destroy Tae-kyun, then disappear before Do-jin realized what she'd done. The next afternoon, the crowd outside the mart was 3 times larger. News of yesterday's proposal had gone viral. People came from across Seoul to watch. At exactly 3 p.m., the black Mercedes returned. Do-jin stepped out, and this time he carried a small velvet box. The crowd pressed closer. Someone was live streaming. Seon was in her usual spot, but she'd been expecting this. She stood as he approached. Do-jin knelt again, opened the box. The diamond ring caught the afternoon sunlight. "I'm asking again," he said, "marry me." Seon looked at the ring, then at his face. She was looking for cracks in his composure, trying to understand his game. "I'll marry you," she said clearly, "but I have 3 conditions." The crowd went completely silent. Do-jin's expression didn't change. "Name them." "1, I work at Nexarin Tech. In your data systems division." His jaw tightened slightly. "Agreed." 2, full access to company files. "No restrictions." Now his eyes narrowed. "That's unusual." "That's my condition." A pause. "Agreed." 3, when I ask you to back me up on something, anything, you do it. No questions asked. Do-jin stared at her. He could see it now. She was using him for something. Just like he was using her. But he had no choice. "Yisol had 6 months. Agreed," he said. Seon held out her hand. Then yes. Do-jin stood and slipped the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. He'd done his research. The crowd erupted in applause and shocked gasps. Cameras flashed everywhere. The live stream viewer count was climbing past 50,000. Seon and Do-jin faced each other, both knowing the other had an agenda, neither able to walk away. "When?" she asked. "The wedding?" "1 week, I'll handle everything." "Fine." They stood in the middle of the crowd, 2 people entering a marriage built entirely on lies. Do-jin's phone buzzed, a message from his assistant. "Hospital called. Yisol's condition worsening. Doctor wants to see you immediately." Seon's phone, a cheap burner, also buzzed. An alert she'd set months ago. Lee Tae-kyun scheduled to visit Nexarin headquarters next week. Partnership signing ceremony. They both looked up at the same moment, faces carefully neutral. "We should go," Do-jin said. "Yes," Seon agreed. As they walked toward his car, neither noticed the woman in the back of the crowd. Young Rae-in lowered her sunglasses, a cold smile on her lips. She pulled out her phone and made a call. "It's me! He actually married her!" The homeless woman, a pause. "No, this is perfect. He's completely distracted. Start buying up the shares? We move in 30 days. She hung up and watched Do-jin's car drive away. Rae-in had left Do-jin when his daughter got sick. She couldn't handle a dying child. but she could handle destroying the man who'd moved on without her. In the car, silence stretched between Dojin and Se-yeon. Finally, Se-yeon spoke. "You never told me why." Dojin kept his eyes on the road. "You never told me why you agreed." "I asked first, and I'm not answering." Se-yeon looked out the window. "Then we understand each other." "I suppose we do." The car turned toward Dojin's penthouse, toward a marriage neither of them wanted, toward a collision course neither of them saw coming. Because in 1 week, Se-yeon would meet Yi-sol and realize the child's life depended on her staying, and Dojin would discover that his new wife was hunting the same man he'd just signed a $1 billion contract with. But neither of them knew that yet. For now, they were just two strangers wearing wedding rings, both convinced they were using the other, both about to discover they were already in too deep to walk away. What were they hiding from each other? And what would happen when the truth finally came out? The penthouse was silent when they arrived. Se-yeon stood in the marble entryway, taking in the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul. Everything here cost more than most people earned in a lifetime. The contrast to her cardboard shelter was almost obscene. "Your room is down the hall?" Dojin said, his tone businesslike. "Second door on the left." "Where's your daughter?" Se-yeon asked. Dojin's expression shifted, just for a moment. Pain flickered across his face before the mask returned. "At the hospital. She comes home tomorrow." "What's her name?" "Yi-sol." Se-yeon nodded. She wanted to ask more, but Dojin was already walking away. "We have a custody hearing in 12 days, he said without turning around. "The marriage certificate will be filed tomorrow. You'll need to be convincing. I'm aware." He stopped at his office door. "One more thing. My former fiancée, Young Rae-in, is back in Seoul. If she contacts you, don't engage." "Why would she contact me?" "Because she wants to destroy me. And you're now the easiest target." He disappeared into his office, closing the door firmly. Se-yeon stood alone in the huge apartment, wondering what she'd actually agreed to. The space was beautiful but cold. Expensive art on the walls. Designer furniture. No warmth anywhere. This was a house, not a home. But then her phone buzzed. The alert she'd been waiting for. Lee Tae-kyun would be at Nexarin headquarters in 6 days. 6 days to prepare. 6 days to gather evidence. She could do this. Se-yeon unpacked her single bag. Everything she owned fit inside it. Then she pulled out her hidden laptop, the one she'd kept charged at various cafes across Seoul for 3 years. She logged into her encrypted files and reviewed everything she had on Tae-kyun. It wasn't enough yet. She needed internal documents. Financial records. Something that would stand up in court. And now she had access to Nexarin systems. Access to their partnership with Tae-kyun's company. She would find what she needed. She had to. The next morning, a small voice woke her. "Are you the lady from the video?" Se-yeon opened her eyes. A little girl stood beside her bed, wearing pajamas covered in cartoon rabbits and a soft cap covering her head. Yi-sol Se-yeon sat up quickly. "Hi, yes, I'm Se-yeon." Yi-sol studied her with serious eyes. Too serious for a 7-year-old. Eyes that had seen too much pain already. "Are you my new mom?" The question hit Se-yeon like a punch. She hadn't prepared for this. Your dad and I got married. So I guess my real mom left," Yi-sol interrupted. Her voice was matter-of-fact, but her eyes were sad. "So sad when I got sick. Daddy says she had important business. But I know she left because of me." Se-yeon's throat tightened. "That's not your fault, sweetheart. Everyone says that. But then they leave too." Yi-sol stepped closer. "Do you leave when people get sick?" The question was so direct. So raw, Se-yeon knew she should be honest. Tell this child she was only here temporarily, that she had her own agenda. But looking at this small, fragile girl, the words came out anyway. "No, sweetheart, I don't." "Promise?" Se-yeon hesitated. She couldn't promise. She was planning to leave as soon as she got what she needed. But Yi-sol was looking at her with such hope. "Such desperate need, I promise." Yi-sol smiled, the first real smile. Then she hugged Se-yeon suddenly, desperately, her small arms surprisingly strong. Se-yeon's arms wrapped around her automatically. The child was so thin, so breakable. She could feel Yi-sol's ribs through the pajamas, could hear her slightly labored breathing. What had she gotten herself into? "Will you have breakfast with me?" Yi-sol asked. "Daddy always has meetings. I eat alone, of course." In the kitchen, Se-yeon made toast while Yi-sol sat at the counter. The child talked about her favorite cartoon, about the hospital, about how the food there was terrible. "Do you know how to make kimchi jjigae?" Yi-sol asked suddenly. I used to. My mother taught me. Can you make it sometime? Daddy always orders food. I miss home cooking. Se-yeon's chest ached. Your mom didn't cook? She said she was too busy. But I remember my grandmother used to before... Yi-sol trailed off. Before what? Before she died, when I was 5. So this child had lost her grandmother, then her mother left, and now she was dying. What kind of world was this? I'll make it for you, Se-yeon said. This weekend. Yi-sol's face lit up. Really? Really. The smile on that small face made Se-yeon's resolve waver. She was supposed to be focused on revenge, on justice, but this child needed her. Could she really leave after the custody hearing, after she got her evidence? That afternoon, Do-jin took Se-yeon to Nexarin headquarters. The building was sleek glass and steel, 50 stories of technology and ambition. It dominated the Gangnam skyline. Inside, employees stared as they walked through. Whispers followed them everywhere. That's her, the homeless woman. Can you believe he actually married her? Ignore them, Do-jin muttered. I'm used to being stared at, Se-yeon replied. Living on the streets, you get used to being invisible. Or a spectacle, nothing in between. They entered the executive floor. Do-jin led her to a large conference room where 5 people waited around a polished mahogany table. This is the board, Do-jin said. They need to approve your employment. Se-yeon recognized the trap immediately. This wasn't just a formality. A woman at the head of the table smiled coldly. She was elegant, powerful, designer suit perfectly tailored. Her makeup was flawless. Her eyes held nothing but contempt. Young Rae-in, so this is the famous bride, Rae-in said. How unexpected. Do-jin's voice was tight. What are you doing here? I'm on the board now. Bought a controlling interest last week. Didn't anyone tell you? Rae-in's smile widened. 49%. Cost me quite a bit, but worth every one. Now, let's discuss your wife's qualifications, shall we? The other board members shifted uncomfortably. They clearly hadn't expected this confrontation. Rae-in opened a file and started reading. Moon Se-yeon, former data engineer. Impressive credentials, actually. MIT graduate. Published 3 papers on aviation safety systems. She paused for effect. And then 3 years ago, accused of corporate espionage and blackmail by Daehan Aviation Systems. Fired, blacklisted from the entire industry. Living on the streets ever since. The other board members exchanged glances. Those accusations were false, Se-yeon said calmly. Were they? Or did you simply fail to extort the company successfully? Rae-in leaned forward. Because according to the official records, you attempted to fabricate evidence of safety violations to demand payment for your silence. That's not what happened. Then what did happen, Miss Moon? Se-yeon's hands clenched under the table. I tried to expose safety violations that killed 284 people, including my family. Your version of events, not what the courts decided, not what 3 separate investigations concluded. Because the company buried the evidence, or because there was no evidence to find. Rae-in closed the file. I'm sorry for your loss, truly. But grief doesn't give you the right to make false accusations. And it certainly doesn't qualify you to work in our data systems division. Do-jin stood abruptly. This meeting is over. Se-yeon starts Monday in the data systems division. That's final. You can't make that decision alone anymore, Rae-in said sweetly. I have 49% voting power now. The board is split. Every major decision requires unanimous consent. That's in the bylaws. Check if you don't believe me. She looked directly at Se-yeon. I vote no on your employment. The other board members looked between Rae-in and Do-jin, clearly uncomfortable but unwilling to cross either of them. Then we'll put it to a full vote, Do-jin said. Fine. All in favor of hiring Moon Se-yeon? 3 hands went up, including Do-jin's and 2 members loyal to him. All opposed? 2 hands. Rae-in's and 1 other board member she'd clearly gotten to. The motion passes 3-2, Do-jin said. Rae-in's smile never faltered, for now. But I'll be watching her very carefully. After all, we can't have corporate spies accessing our systems. I'm sure you understand the need for vigilance, Do-jin, especially given your daughter's situation. The implied threat was clear. Do anything wrong and she'd use Yi-Sol against him. As they left, Se-yeon could feel Rae-in's eyes burning into her back. In the elevator, Do-jin was silent, his jaw clenched. "She's going to be a problem," Se-yeon finally said. "She already is." "Why did you let her on the board?" Do-jin's jaw tightened. "I didn't know until this morning. She used shell companies to hide the purchases. By the time I found out, the transactions were complete, legal irreversible. The elevator doors opened." They stepped out into the parking garage. "There's something else you should know," Do-jin said. Rae-in left when Yi-Sol got sick. The diagnosis came back, and within a week, she was gone. Said she couldn't handle watching a child die. That she had her whole life ahead of her and couldn't tie herself to someone with no future. The pain in his voice was raw. Se-yeon understood immediately. So this isn't just about business. No, it's personal. She couldn't handle being with me when things got hard. But she can't handle seeing me move on either. And you're caught in the middle. They drove home in silence, both realizing the marriage had just become far more complicated than either had planned. Se-yeon's first day at Nexorine started badly. Her desk had been vandalized. Someone had written "Gold Digger" across her monitor in permanent marker. The chair had been removed. Her desk drawers were filled with trash. The other employees pretended not to notice, but she could feel their stares, hear their whispers. "Can't believe she has the nerve to show up. Did you see what she was wearing? Still looks homeless. I heard she threatened to go to the media if he didn't marry her." Se-yeon ignored it all. She cleaned the marker off her monitor, found another chair, and logged into the system. Her access credentials worked. Do-jin had kept his word. She started searching immediately. Financial records, partnership contracts, looking for any connection to Lee Tae-kyun's company. And she found it. Nexorine had a major partnership with Daehan Aviation Systems, Tae-kyun's company. The contract was worth 60 billion won over 5 years. It represented 40% of Nexorine's projected revenue. The partnership involved data systems integration for commercial aviation safety, the exact field Se-yeon had worked in, the exact systems that had failed on Flight 801. Se-yeon's hands shook as she read the details. If she exposed Tae-kyun, this contract would be void. The scandal would destroy the partnership. Nexorine would lose almost half its business. Do-jin would be destroyed. His company would collapse. And with his company gone, there would be no money for Yi-Sol's treatment. She sat back, her mind racing. This was worse than she'd thought. Much worse. Finding what you need?